Hi, welcome to Two Non-Doctors. I'm Liz Mealy.
I'm Maria Shahada.
We are full curls today. Look at all these curls.
Yeah, I've been watching some
Ow.
YouTube videos on how to like deal with like curly hair, and it's a really hot and humid day today, so my curls are kind of rocking it.
What do you mean YouTube videos? Like how to style it?
Yeah, like how to deal with curly hair.
But we've had it our whole lives.
I've never known how to deal with my own hair, apparently. It's too hot in my room, so I'm in the lounge. I can't. It's like 91, 92 degrees in London right now, which is 36 for them.
It's funny because it's as hot here, but the problem with London is you guys like don't believe in air conditioning.
London, like temperature-wise, is like San Francisco. It's pretty temperate all year. So this heat wave is, I mean, it's only a few days, but like, you know, it's the kind of heat wave where fans are suddenly like $55 for what would be like, you know, 10 pounds and stuff.
But I remember I was there maybe 3 years ago during a heat wave, and that's when I discovered the subways don't have air conditioning and the buses don't have air conditioning. And I was like,
oh God,
remember we were bus people. We were going around being like, buses are the best. London buses are the best. And then I was on a bus for like 40 minutes with no air conditioning during a heat wave. And I was like, this is how I die. We always forget announcements. Subscribe. If you listen to us on iTunes, rate and review. And then hopefully this comes out in August, but for the month of August, you can, any tier on our Patreon, you get stickers. We have a new cartoon logo sticker, and I've been sending them out all week. Everybody seems to enjoy them, but thank you to all our current Patreons and people that just joined. I'm so excited about our fan mail today.
Oh yeah. Let's read the fan mail.
Gonna be a lot of voices today because you're melting. Is that what's happening?
I'm losing my mind.
Okay, good. Okay, so I was so excited about this. Our Google was responded to on another podcast. Jesse and Joseph have a podcast called Coffee Lovers Radio. Episode 166 is called Also Not Doctors. And because they talk about coffee, they got so excited about our episode where you bring up the Google.
Our French press coffee bad for you?
Yeah. And so we had a full discussion and we're kind of like, it's not the best. And then we say something about cholesterol. Who knows what we said? It can't, nobody will ever go back.
What we said, or we could just have you go, who cares? Well, just that it does contain a little bit of cholesterol because it's not being filtered out, but and it's the bad kind, but it won't affect you unless you're like one of those people who have high cholesterol already, like you're already on the edge. Then it might be bad.
Jesse and Joseph were like, they were so nice. First of all, they said very nice things about our podcast, and then they said nice things about like what we did and who we are. But then they were like, so this is what they said, which is not correct. Like they said it so nice, like they were so gentle about it. They were just like, which is not. It's not correct. And then they kind of explained,
which is on brand for us.
That's what I said. Like I wrote back to them and I was like, just so we're all clear, we know we're wrong. Like every episode we call each other morons. We say that we're wrong. We say nobody to listen to us. Like I feel like this is a compliment. Also, don't you think about it? Like because people, like so many people are like fighting on Facebook and with family about like everything that's kind of going on right now. Don't you feel like we're doing like a service where like we're being like, say something that we did wrong. And people are like, that's what I do all day. Like it's nice not to be fought about it. Cause most people are like, wear a mask. And the other side is like, no, and you're wrong. And then like, we're going, tell us we're wrong. Just tell us.
Yeah. We know you want to fight with someone. Fight with us.
Yeah, fight with us. But yeah, it actually genuinely made me laugh. But they have a whole, podcast about coffee, which I feel is lost on me. I describe my coffee taste as melted ice cream, like melted coffee ice cream. Like I'm one of those people at Starbucks that you're just like, you're ruining it. Like I know Starbucks already ruined it, but then I take it to the next level. Yeah, I like sugary.
Yeah, you'll get like a peppermint mocha frappuccino thing, and then add sugar. It's like no,
No,
you just got a liquid cake.
I'm drinking coffee to both have a sugar high and a adrenaline high. I'm doing really fun drugs from a kid level. Coffee Lovers Radio. Thank you, Jesse and Joseph. We appreciate you. Googles?
Okay.
You want to go first? Do you want me
to
go first?
My Google is, can you change your personality?
Oh, okay. What are you going through?
I hate myself.
No.
No, I do. But I'm like, there are just certain personality traits of mine that I feel like my friends are lucky to have me, but
okay.
I'm also obnoxious. For instance, I've been going to the pool in this heat wave. Now, this pool has limited space by the pool. I get there 6:45 a.m. to get the space I want. My friend shows up whenever the fuck she wakes up. It was because of me and my efforts and my type A-ness, my type A tendency, and not my type A-ness.
Yep, I like it. I like how you call it your type of anus. Continue.
My type A-ness is I mean, it's just I'm not easygoing, let's say. Like I feel like I'm quick to anger. I'm annoyed. And here's the thing is I notice this trait in other people, like other friends, like traits that bother me in them, and I realize I'm exactly the same. I have a friend she's me times 10. And so I noticed her personality traits and I'm like, I don't want that in me anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like can't let go, can't relax, overthinking every issue, like thinking about the worst possible thing that can happen, like having fights in your head that haven't even occurred, you know? And it's just like that kind of thing that I'm like, I don't want that. I've always been type A, by the way. Like I remember being 10 and like in school, just first to finish tests, first to line up at the door when we're going to recess or going home. First all the time. I have to be first. Why? I didn't even know why. I just had to be, you know?
Yeah.
And then I moved to New York and everyone's like that. And I was like, I can't be around that many people who are like me.
Yeah. This is exhausting.
Yeah,
I don't like the competition.
So I just didn't like it about
That must have been why you spent 8 years in LA. Because everybody is just like, when we get there, we get there. Like nothing matters.
No, yeah, I nobody was like me. So it was also bad for waiting tables because in New York I fit right in and nobody considered me rude. And in LA I was rude because I'm blunt. I'm very like to the point. I don't mean to be rude. I just, I don't bother niceties.
Yeah, well, if you're trying to take an order, you have all these other tables and they're just looking at their phone like you don't exist. You're going to be like, hi, what do you need?
Yeah, I know, but like you're coming from a very New York point of view. Like you get that's just the most efficient way to get this done.
Yeah.
In LA, they're just like, in Ohio too, like they're like, what's her fucking problem?
Yeah.
But that point is you can't. Like there's a lot of traits that are innate. Like you're born with them. Nature versus nurture. There's a lot of nature. But you can, like, if you are tended to be type A, you can develop coping tools and mechanisms to relax, to be able to relax more. I didn't get that far into the research to see what kind of coping tools would help me be less type A.
I feel in a lot of ways, because like I relate to you. I was raised, my dad raised me like, if you're on time, you're late. Like that kind of like, so it's like, even you, it's funny, even you saying like you have like to get the best seat at the pool. I'm like, oh, you're my father. Like my dad would be the type of person that's like, we're going to go to the beach. And we're like, yeah, we're going to the beach. He's like, we're leaving at 5 a.m. You're like, you're mean.
That was my dad too. Yeah. 4 or 5 a.m. to get there. But you know what? That's how I am these days.
I'm very similar to you. I feel like I still struggle with it, but I feel like I hate myself less because of some tools and stuff that, you know what I mean? Like, I think therapy helped a lot. I think recognizing it's something when I'm annoyed with somebody else, it's something I don't like in myself. Let's just say somebody hurts my feelings and my gut response would be to be defensive or to yell at them or to just be like some level of aggressive because my feelings are hurt. I've learned to like self-talk and self-soothe myself out of that. A good example is like the train being late. I timed it perfectly. I know I'm on time. I know I did my job, MTA. But like also being like, it's out of my control. I think a lot of my issues have been always control. And that's where a lot of my type A-ness has come from. Now we've both said it.
I mean, I'm way too old to be laughing at that, but.
But I think for me, it's a lot of self-talk. Sometimes like if we're together, like maybe I'll talk it out with you. Like I remember like almost leaving a flight and I forget who I talked to, but I was just like, I'm super stressed out. I'm going to miss this flight. And like, I can't seem to even like be able to calm down because if I miss this flight. And then they were like, what's the worst thing that happens? And I was like, I have to book another flight. You know what I mean?
Totally, but I'm the same thing. I'm exactly the same. Like I have to get up early, get to the airport. Even if I have 5 hours to spare, at least I'm there and I can relax once I'm there.
Yeah, because otherwise my brain is like,
then I can go find food.
Yeah, I'm very similar. And I'm not saying there's not benefits to that preparedness. But like, if you're only supposed to be an hour or two early for whatever flight you're taking, to be 5 hours early is just to waste your life in an airport. And that's not how, you want to live your life. So it's just like, to me, it's about walking my steps logically through that process. What am I worried about? Do I really think the plane, the bus, the subway is going to break down on this day? Don't get me wrong. Everything has gone wrong before, but it's also been fine realistically. I do think also with age, it's helped me a little bit be like, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. So except for like death, it's most likely going to be fine. I do think some of it ties together with even like the fact that we've talked about meditation before. Like, I think that's a form of calming and self-soothing. And the better I get at any aspect of that, the better I get about not having to be exactly who I am all the time. I don't think I'm ever not going to be this way, but I also think I'm going to have a little bit more understanding or control, or feel like less like it's ruling my life. To me, you having to get up at 6 a.m. to get a spot is like somebody, it's like, to me, it's somebody downloaded an app and they're like, she needs to be there early. I don't know if you can take apps off, but you can make them like not on the forefront of your screen. You can put it on like the 5th screen of your phone so that it's not like always in your face. I don't know if they can ever be deleted.
I like that I am like that. You know what I mean? I like this personality trait.
Also, there is a time that it's necessary.
Yeah. I just don't want it all the time. Like, because being like that also means that I'm highly anxious about other stuff. I ruin some people's times because I'm so anxious. I don't know. It's like everyone wants to be the type of person everyone wants to hang out with. And I basically am. But
we're not chill.
No, we're not chill. I want to be chill. I wish I was a like chill person. And I think the meditation helps with that a little bit. But it's not like changing my personality, but it is taking away the things that aren't really necessary, like feeling anxious about something that I do all the time, or just a phone call or a podcast or anything.
I remember being a teenager. I was like a big pothead when I was a teenager, and I was just like, I'm just chill. I'm just like super chill. And then first of all, I was having like panic attacks all the time. And then clearly pot was like a way to self like medicate. But I remember when I wasn't high, not being chill, but I didn't like factor that into the equation. Like, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, like I was chill because I was high, but like when I wasn't high, like when I was at school and all the other times and I'm like having panic attacks and I'm crying for no reason and just being a general teenage mess that I didn't allow myself, like I clearly felt it because I didn't like myself, but I wouldn't factor that like the rest of the day. Like the 4 hours I was high, I was like, you know what? People just like me because I'm a chill person. Like things don't bother me.
Just sort of zen, like it's funny how people bring that out of you. Like when I dated someone in New York, he was too chill. So that made me high strung. But then when I dated my ex-fiance, he was high strung and that made me like too chill.
I mean, I definitely think certain situations bring different parts of me out. And I am very angry and I can be very angry very quickly. I think I've gotten a little bit better about like not reacting immediately, but like certain people will make me be the calm one and the level-headed one. And I have friends that are like, well, you're just so level-headed. And I'm just like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're a little bit like,
me?
Did I lie to her?
Okay.
I think I lied to her. I don't feel like I ever blatantly lied to her, but that's what they think of me. Like, so I do think like just like a certain office setting or certain people, like it just same with like with comedy, you're always with like a group of comics. So like, I'm not always like, I can be kind of like the loud, gregarious one, but if somebody else is playing that role, I don't need to play that role. And I just kind of, I'm like, I'm out here being an audience member for this person.
So with us, who do you think is the type A one and who's the chill? I think I'm the chill one.
I do think you're the more chill. I mean, I'm always flailing my hands and yelling. And it's funny, as somebody that's been like, also like, you know, we both look at the video before we put it out. I'll watch it sometimes and I'll watch your face and I'll be like, she handles me so well. Like,
what do you mean?
She's a good friend. Because like, I'll be being crazy and you just get this smirk on your face that's like, oh, that's Liz. Liz. We just let Liz be Liz.
Yeah.
And I've seen you do it in real life. Like I always go back to that story. I don't know why I remember the situation so clearly, but we were in London. We were looking for like a restaurant or something. And a guy's trying to sell me a paper while we're standing on like we're both lost and we're both looking at our phone trying to figure this out. And the kid's like, you want this paper? You want a paper? And I'm like, oh, no, thank you. And they're like, paper. And I was like, oh, no, we don't want a paper. And then he's like, paper. I was like, motherfucker, get the fuck away. Like, I just like literally like, I was like, chill, I'll murder your family. And like, we figure out where we're going and you're like, you're fun. You're like, nobody else knows, but there's a like, it's okay. And then it's just not okay immediately. And it comes out of nowhere. Very much like you're petting a cat and next thing you know, you're getting bit by a cat.
It's 100% like you give a little bit of leeway. I'll be patient. All right, I'm still patient. I'll kill your whole family. But it goes from that. It switches immediately. But you give them a chance. But but I see the chance, and I'm sort of like backing away slowly.
But I feel like the same way, like especially my cat is a biter, but like people would meet her for the first time and I would see her ears go back and I'd be like, hey, you got to stop her. You're going to get bit. And I feel like but the difference between it is like, you see my ears go back and then you're like, oh, this is going to be funny. You're like, oh, this little kid's going to get bit.
I know. This is probably the personality I need to change, but I'm like, this is going to be fun.
Okay, let's get into my Google, which is way less interesting. It was just, how often are you supposed to change your razor head or change your razor if it's not this is my thing. I feel like I never know. And they always just, whether I use it, whenever I change it, it just always looks exactly the same. It doesn't feel like it's like falling apart or like, for me, I never feel like it's done. Let's put it this way. Like my contacts, like they're supposed to be monthly contacts, but I wear them until they fall out of my head. And usually, and you're not supposed to do that. It's like totally bad for you. But usually they start to like just not feel good in my eyeball. And it doesn't matter how much I clean them, they just don't feel good. Or sometimes there's like minor, really baby rips in them. And it doesn't, literally your eyeball's like, I hate this. So like, I can kind of tell by looking at it or feeling it that a contact is like, we're done now. Even though they're supposed to be monthly and you're supposed to change them every month. And it's terrible that I don't. But with razors, I just didn't understand. So this was actually super helpful for me. If you shave daily, you keep a razor for 1 to 2 weeks. If you shave every other day, it's 2 to 3 weeks. And then twice a week, you keep it 4 to 6 weeks. So you change it every 4 to 6 weeks. But what's crazy about it is I got laser hair removal on most of me. So I still have to shave a little bit, but I don't have to shave as much. So I'm probably shaving once a week, if that, even in the summer. Like it used to be that I would shave like every other day before I got laser, but now it's like once a week, maybe, like I said, every 2 weeks. And so I was like, oh, I'm pretty much on par, because I get Dollar Shave Club, not a sponsor, just being nice. But I get Dollar Shave Club, and I had to start skipping it because I just was like piling up with razor heads.
Yeah.
And I
did Dollar Shave Club, and I shave every day, and it's still piled up.
Yeah, I was like, I can't figure out why. And then I was like, oh, I'm only shaving my legs like once a week. And so then doing the math, so if you're doing it twice a week, it's 4 to 6. Doing the math, really, I'm supposed to change it like every 3 months. So I'm pretty much doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It just kind of shows me that I'm only using a couple razor heads a year because I'm not a big shaver. I feel like laser hair removal helped me become blonde, because like all my blonde friends, they either did, like I started shaving my legs when I was like 12, I think, but all my friends like waited until they were like more teenagers because they were blonde and they didn't have to. So
I know when I was 12, I couldn't wait to shave my mustache. I was like, Ma.
I remember I shaved my legs probably like I said, like 11, 12. I was like really young. I had my legs up on the seat, and my older sister takes her hand, puts her hand on my legs, and she goes, oh, you shaved? I'm telling. And I was like, why? Like, why would you, like, what do you get from, I was so mad at her. And then what I remember is she told my mom, and my mom was like, just be careful. And I was like, nah. And I was like, go fuck yourself. Like, I was like, see, Mom doesn't care about us. But like, I was like, I don't know. We're hairy Italians. I just didn't want my legs to be hairy. And I feel like everything is kind of, not everything's changed, but things have changed a little bit more, and people are starting to be like, women grow hair and you need to whatever. But I prefer not to have it under my armpits and on my legs. That's how
it
I
is a
grew
preference.
up.
And I was just wondering the other day if that was like us being like 90s kids. Cause like,
It feels like it's, yeah.
Because it just, there's nothing less appealing to me than like a hairy armpit for a woman. But if I were used to it, if I were raised with that, it wouldn't bother me. But it's just, I was raised to be like, A, like stick thin, and B, totally hairless.
Which is funny because we're never going to be stick skinny women, we're just like, curves are beautiful. But because we can still shave our armpits, we're just like, hair is gross. Like,
Yeah,
because we can
but
change it, we've decided hair is gross.
I don't think I've ever embraced that curves are beautiful still. I think I need to start changing that part of my
Curves
personality
are
also.
beautiful.
I believe you.
But it's also, I think, the message we get from TV, which is you still see women pretty clean shaven. I mean, like, social media has kind of shown that women prefer different amounts of body hair, and whatever you prefer is whatever you prefer. But I still think TV is like sexy as stiletto heels and, you know, legs that go on for days, which we can't do. And that you're just like a shaved, silky being at all times. Which I wonder if like that always kind of like, because we're never going to be silky unless we straighten our hair. So like we're already kind of unruly with our hair, that we're kind of like, I don't know, I'm doing the best I can, world. But I have to say, it sounds really silly, but I was like in the shower being like, I think I've had this razor for half a year. Like I was
Did
just
it
like,
did it get a little spot of rust on it that you're like, this is starting to look gross?
so that's like the non-negotiable, and that's just because I was scarred. I never watched the show, but my siblings when I was younger watched that show. I forget what it was on. It was like 100 Ways to Die or 100 Weird Ways to Die. I don't know. It was basically a show that like the craziest ways people had died. I watched it with my siblings once, and then I was like, I can't emotionally handle this show. But the episode I saw, a girl was like, she was in, I don't know where she was, but she was overseas somewhere. She bought a razor from a store. It had rust on it. She shaved her legs. Maybe there was a cut, something, whatever. She got some bacteria that eats your flesh.
No.
Yeah. And then I can't even tell the rest of the story. So it was just horrific. Clearly it was something, I don't know if it was just, I'm not smart enough to know if it was just the rust or if it was some kind of bacteria and
Was
the
it
rust.
just the rust, because there would be so many warnings against razors. They wouldn't even make razors like that. And like, it had to have been the flesh-eating bacteria that happened to be on the rust.
All I know is I saw that, and if I see any rust on anything, I just throw it away. I was like, I can't.
Yeah, that's fair.
But instead of learning more about it, I've just kind of like, I've made a rule for myself and I've moved on. I was like, I don't want to educate myself. I don't want to have more fear about it. Let's get personal.
Yep.
I feel like we've been very personal. Okay, this question is actually from Jesse and Joseph at Coffee Lovers Radio. They wanted to know, do we take comedy seriously? Like as a business or just the art of comedy?
Yeah, of course we take it seriously. It's our business. It's an actual business. But
I feel like any business you take seriously. Even if
it just happens to be ha-has. It just happens to be that you'll get checks from D's nuts. You know what I mean? Like, but especially you, Liz. I remember in New York, oh man, you couldn't relax about comedy. I remember you talking to, I think it was Robert Kelly outside of the Cellar. It was just, your eyes were wide. Your eyes are always wide, just wide. And like eyebrows are up, and you couldn't understand why some things weren't happening for you. And you're like, but I don't get it. I don't get it. And he was like, I don't know, Liz. Like, I just don't know what to tell you. Like, nobody knew what to tell you. But it was like the injustice of it all, because you're very much something like somebody who's like, if I do this, then this is the outcome I expect. And if it doesn't happen, as is often the case in comedy, it's going to drive you fucking mad.
But I think that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, it took so much work for me not to be bitter, not to feel like things not working out wasn't me being slighted by people or the world, acknowledging that there's a lack of control, or the fact, like, it sounds so bad, but I also kind of feel like it's helped me in some ways. My mom's catchphrase is life is unfair. Yeah. That's what my mom would say to us. Life is unfair. Like, we would be upset about something or something would go wrong. She would say, life is unfair. And in a lot of ways, you can interpret that as being negative. But as I've gotten older, it's become a little bit of a positive mantra, which is life is unfair. Like, you can do everything right and it could still not work out. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't still be a good person. That doesn't mean you still shouldn't help others. It doesn't mean you still shouldn't try. It just means that it's not always going to be A plus B equals C. And if you feel like if you do A and then B happens, you deserve C, you have to have C, you're going to be unhappy. And that's how I was. I just felt like I did what I was supposed to do. It's like the kids that are like, you get a perfect score on the SATs, you do all the extracurricular activities, you're like rescuing dolphins on the weekends. and then you don't get into the school you want to, and you're like, well, what the fuck was the point? And you're like, well, that's not what you should take from it. Like, it's sometimes you can do everything right and it doesn't work out. And like, that's why I always get kind of upset with those like Instagram mantras or like whatever, where they're just like, you just got to believe and it's all going to work out. And you're like, what a fucking white privileged bitch personality quote to just be like, if you believe, it'll work out. Like, there's so many people that believe and it doesn't work out. So are they just not believing well enough? Like, it just makes me, that kind of stuff kind of makes me angry. Although I still hope it's true at the same time. Like, I am much of a hypocrite.
We talked about that with The Secret, and like, you're just very much not of that mantra, which actually reminds me. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it does have value. I'm not saying it doesn't have value, and that creating a positive mindset doesn't have value. But I also think if that's the only thing that pushes you forward, you're going to be unhappy. You're going to always feel like either you're not positive thinking enough, like, or you're going to believe that, I don't know. I spent most of my life thinking things were hurting me on purpose, like things were out to get me. And really playing the victim. And I think comedy pushes that along a little bit more, when really, when you start to pull comedy apart, or really all show business apart, it's all rigged, it's all bullshit, it's all, you know what I mean? Like, it's really, 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 really hard to get your name out there. It's gotten better in some ways, but like, this business is really hard. And if you have the wrong mindset, you lose your goddamn mind. If I didn't change my mindset, I would either be extremely bitter right now, or I would be dead. Like, or have quit.
This is sort of what I mean by like, can you change your personality? Because that was another thing that I wanted to know, because I could catch myself thinking things like, well, and I've seen it in other people and I can't stand it. Like, but like this sort of like, of course that would happen to me type thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's this,
I mean, that's
as if the universe is
mentality.
like, yeah, waiting to get you or something. And it's not, but when I see it in others, I'm just like, oh, fuck off. Like, nobody's out to get you. Why do you have this mentality? It's not like I'm any different.
But I had that mentality for years, and I'm not saying I don't slip into it sometimes, but I have to check myself and be like, this isn't about me. And you know what? I think the pandemic and things, when things happen globally, like, you can go, this is affecting everybody. The pandemic didn't hurt my career. It hurt the global economy. You know what I mean? It hurt, you know, with certain things, it's much easier to be like, this isn't about me. But like, when you get in a car crash, you're just like, really? Like, I can't afford to fucking fix this. And I was on the way to a gig, and like, you could do everything where it's just like, of course this would happen to me. I mean, that took years of therapy to like undo that. And I always have to kind of keep myself in check, because that was one of the things I didn't like the most about myself. But like, anything you put effort towards, you're going to take it seriously. I feel like if I made balloon animals, I'd be like, yeah, I really care about my craft and I want to make the best balloon animals. So I take comedy seriously in the sense that I care about the work I'm putting out there and how I'm being seen and perceived. But also, yeah, I do see certain people get ahead or get certain deals. And I think I have to work on my anger, because that was the negative side of taking this business seriously, is somebody else's success felt like it was my loss. And that was something I always had to be like, there's too many channels, there's too many opportunities for me to be like, that person took something away from me. Now it's more like, good for them. You know, if somebody with such little talent and such little abilities to make it, then I'm ready for, you know what I mean? Cause like, you could go, like, you could look at it in one perspective, which is, this person has nothing to offer. Why are they getting all these opportunities? Or you could look at it like, well, if they don't need sustenance, I can be unsustenant, like I can be garbage, and I can have value. There should be twice as many opportunities. And I've learned to, again, it takes time and there's good days and bad days, but I look at somebody in the business having opportunities I would like, and I just go, all right, good for them. Hopefully that might open up a door for me and my friends going forward, but them having that opportunity doesn't take it away from me. But I mean, I've always taken comedy.
It does fucking feel like it. It does. As soon as someone says, God, I have exciting news, it's just, and like my friend Kat said recently on a thing, she's like, whenever I read that, like my stomach sinks. But I don't know where that comes from. Like, why we think like, because someone else got something, that means we're not. It doesn't make any sense, as if there's limited possibilities.
Yeah. And I just don't want to be that person. I would never want to be that person towards my friends. And even if I'm not friends with the person that got the opportunity, I think that's one of the things I've always not liked about myself, is that I somehow, even if it was not, I didn't exude it emotionally, I knew I wasn't excited for that person or present for that person or whatever. And I've gotten a lot better. Like it's taken a lot of work. And again, I don't know where that comes from either. I don't know if that's like, cause I'm one of 5 kids. And if somebody got a bigger slice of cake, it literally meant I had less cake. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I'm exactly the same and I didn't have that problem. I mean,
I wonder
everyone's.
if it has to do with like people, like parents rationing love, or like even the fact that you can see someone getting more attention from their family than you're getting attention, or somebody in school getting more attention or validation than you are. Like, I don't know what sets that up.
I don't know either. Like, I know in my friends.
I know we're broken. I know anybody that gets into comedy. I mean, we're doing a podcast. Like, there's something wrong with it. I think the point is we do take it too seriously. I think everybody takes every business seriously. I think you just have to, because it's a business. I remember somebody being like, it's show business.
Yeah, because if we didn't care and if it was just a hobby, then you wouldn't have put out half the shit you put out, or we wouldn't be doing this, but the fact is we need this like a drug. So it's very serious.
Yeah. I have to get my drugs. Yeah. I mean, I would like to say it's also a passion. It's not just an addiction. A little resentful. No, I think the biggest work I've done is to take it less seriously and to take it less personally, and to kind of step away from it a little bit and be like, is this thing that I'm upset about, or is this thing that I'm getting resentful of actually important to me continuing my career as a comic? If not, who cares? Like, my example is always like, you see somebody on like the cover of Golf Digest and you're like, why not me? And they're like, do you play golf? And you're like, shut up. It doesn't matter. They're on the cover and I'm not. And I'm like, I had to like work on the fact that like, I only want to work on the opportunities that are important to me. I don't need to work on these opportunities just because somebody else got the opportunity. I don't care about golf. I think we need to take a break and talk about toilet paper.
What a break it is. What a break.
Yeah. Let's all take a break. We just get up and go to the bathroom. I have to say, I'm very excited. We're back to talking about real toilet paper. They were our sponsor before. Because of the pandemic, I've gotten very excited about, you get a big box of toilet paper, and I think I like organizing stuff. So I have almost like a pyramid or like a stack of toilet paper in my bathroom now. And it's like both calming, because I can't run out. I know exactly how much toilet paper I have. But also it just feels like the same way I'll look at my bank account and be like, yep, there's money in there. It's going to be safe, guys.
I wish I had no idea what you're talking about, but I have a basket of toilet paper.
But it's
full and I love it.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of Real. That's the beauty of now subscription boxes. Real is sustainable bamboo toilet paper. It's 3-ply, super soft.
That's not 2-ply, y'all.
What I like about them is that they help people get access to clean toilets. So by helping out your needs, you're helping out the needs of others. For us, if you use the promo code 2non-doctors, that's the number 2 non and then DRS 25, you get 25% off your first subscription or your first order.
You're going to go to realpaper.com. That's REEL paper.com and put in the promo code 2non-doctors 25. Plus free shipping in the US.
Woo! Go make yourselves a pyramid. Feel good about yourselves.
Wipe clean. It's probably not what they want, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, our topic is attachment, which I don't know when you kind of discovered the topic of attachment. I went through a horrific breakup about 10 years ago. And I feel like I've talked about it a little bit, but I read this book literally called Attachment. I should have looked up who the author is. But my friend had it and he was like, this might help you. Like literally like, you've been crying a lot. Here you go. And I started reading it maybe like 6 months after this breakup. And it was a game changer. It's funny. I think this book talked about it being 3 attachment styles, but I've been doing more reading. And again, I read this book 10 years ago, so things get updated, but they kind of break it down into 4 attachment styles. So I'm just going to say what they are and then we can kind of talk it out. But there's secure, which in general is what everybody wants.
It's they don't want to use this word, but normal.
Yeah. Nobody wants to use the word normal, but it's let's say healthy. I think that's the better way of saying it. Secure is a healthy attachment style where you know, I support you, you support me. We're able to express our needs. Nobody's playing weird games. Like it's just, you've received love as a child and now you're able to give and receive love as an adult. Must be nice. Then in the insecure, it gets broken down a bunch of times. So then there's anxious, which it's funny. I always thought I was anxious, but now doing all this reading, I'm starting to think I'm a part of avoidant. But there's anxious. So anxious is like almost looking for a partner to rescue you. They talk a lot about like fantasy bonding, where it's like you're not really bonding with the person, you're bonding with what you need from somebody. It's they use words like emotionally hungry. Like I even have a line in my special was like where I said you don't get into comedy because you need the average amount of love.
Yeah.
So it's like I've always considered myself an anxious lover in a lot of ways. But when you start to pull back insecure even more, under insecure is also avoidant. There's a dismissive avoidant, and then there's fearful avoidant. And that's where like my mind kind of exploded. So dismissive avoidant, truly, because I was like, oh, I'm much more avoidant than I realized. So dismissive avoidant is you're kind of like emotionally distant from your partner. You easily can shut down. You take care of things yourself. Like I would actually very much put myself in the dismissive avoidant. I'm sometimes anxious, but like I honestly think as somebody that shuts down a lot, when I get hurt, I pull away, I push away. And then fearful avoidant is you're so concerned about being close with somebody that you have more of a fear. I don't know how to say this. Like you have such a strong fear of being too close with somebody that you have this kind of push and pull with them. You're basically dismissive and anxious put together, in the sense that like if I try to get too close to you, you might push me away. But if I push you away because you pushed me away, you'll try to pull me back in. I don't know. It kind of, all this stuff kind of blew my mind, even though I read this book 10 years ago and it really helped me understand my relationship and how it kind of went south 10 years ago. I always now going into relationships see, because I kind of morph a little bit. Sometimes I'm like, I'm the secure one, but I don't know if that's ever very true. I have secure moments. But I don't think I've ever showed up to a relationship as secure. But I think I've been telling myself I'm anxious when really I'm avoidant dismissive. I shut down a lot.
I'm so jealous of that. I wish I was a shutdowner. I'm very much an anxious attachment style.
I used to chase people. Do you look both friends and boys?
Such a chaser. Yeah. In fact, if you liked me, it's just, that's the kiss of death. Like I needed you to just give me just enough attention and then fuck off. And then I'm yours forever. I like the chasing. You said something else when you were describing it to anxious. What, do you remember what it was?
Yeah. You're looking for a partner to rescue you or complete you. You're clingy, demanding, possessive, emotionally hungry. You don't have to be all of these things. Fantasy bond. Like
yes, that my therapist, who I said I didn't like, but she made a good point, because she was like, what, like say my dad came home in a bad mood. She was like, what'd you do? I'm like, I avoid him, stay in my room. You just fantasize about another life, don't you? Like, you know, you stuck in my room. I'm thinking about moving to Europe or driving cross country in a, you know, VW hippie van, just escape. And then, so, I mean, somehow she got to the point that a guy would come in and rescue me. Like is essentially what I look at a guy coming in to my life as someone rescuing me from that life.
Yeah. And I do relate to that. I think I've always spent waiting for people. It doesn't even always have to be a man, like people to make my life better. Like rescue me from the fact that I'm unhappy with my career, rescue me because I'm unhappy with my living situation, rescue me because I'm unhappy with who I am as a person. So if this person likes me, maybe I'll start liking myself. So I think I spent most of my life being anxious, but I weirdly very easily go to avoidant dismissive. If you hurt my feelings, I shut down. Like we've talked about it before. It's always been my superpower, but it also can be extremely detrimental, because you might say something that hurts my feelings. I shut down. You want to repair it, but I'm gone. And I've gotten better at turning back on and trying to sit in the moment before I shut down. And I would like to say I'm like 20% better, but it's still like I catch myself just shutting down. I didn't even know how to recognize my emotions until like my mid to late 20s. So even now it's about just recognizing that I'm trying to, like, I now can recognize I'm sad and I'm shutting down. But sometimes I like watch myself shut down and I'm like, nope, that's where we are. That's okay. Bye, Liz.
But you can reverse the shutting down, or, you know.
I don't know if I can reverse it. I can acknowledge it. And by acknowledging it, I have awareness of it, and it sounds silly, but like when I have a panic attack, if I can acknowledge that I'm having a panic attack, it doesn't really stop it as much as it makes it less powerful and maybe even shortens the lifespan of it. So I would say the same thing with shutting down. I don't think I can stop myself from shutting down, but I can, by acknowledging that I'm shut down, I kind of make it less strong of a wall, and I can break out of it a little bit more easily. But it's like, all right, I'm shut down. Okay, I just have to acknowledge that I'm pushing this person away because they've hurt my feelings. So that if in that space you come back and go, hey, what's going on? I could be like, hey, you said this and it really upset me, and I'm still not really good at processing how I feel, and I'm scared to tell you that. Like, I can work myself through it a little bit more, as opposed to 21-year-old Liz. You might say something that hurts my feelings. I won't pick up the phone. You'll say, is anything wrong? I'll say, no, not at all. I'm totally fine. Like, and then it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and I'll end up staying shut down for months. So I've
never met that Liz. That's so weird. I've met that partner, but I've never met that Liz.
You know, I'll say this, with friends, I don't know what it is. And I don't know if it's a different dynamic with friends as opposed to with a partner, but most of my friends can see me shutting down and pull out of it, or they don't take my shutting down personally, or they like my friend Amanda would like hug abuse me. Like, she would see me shut down and she wouldn't let me. She would just be like, wow, we're hanging out. So even though I'm like, I hate you, she's just like, we're watching a movie. And I'm like, ugh. So she would like almost abuse the shutdown, as opposed to, I think my boyfriend sees me shut down and he takes it personally, which it's not always personal, but sometimes it is. He takes it personal. And so then he's also, I think, a form of avoidant. And so he pulls away.
Yeah. So I think like my boyfriend shuts down, and I think if I were to hug abuse him, it would just push him more away.
Yeah.
I mean that. I'm not being funny.
Yeah.
I think he would feel like I'm not respecting a boundary, and
yeah,
that would make him go like more away. So I don't know what to do. Luckily for me, he's good at talking things out and saying where he's at and stuff. So it's not like it's a problem where I'm just left alone going, I don't know what happened. You know, we talk about it, but I wish I could just hug abuse him into loving me again.
I do think friends get away with more than partners. I don't know what that is. And I don't also, like, I've even told my boyfriend, like, we've been together for almost 4 years, but like we have almost 15 years of friendship behind us. Most of my friends have anywhere from 10 to 20 years behind us. So like, I have a lot of issues with accepting love. I'm very scared to give love. I'm also like, you know me, like if I love you, I'm like, here you go. Like, so it takes me like a while to like show my love, but like once you have it, I'm just like, it's all at once. This is, you know,
yeah.
The amount of times I've yelled at you with my love, where like, I think we even have it on the podcast. I'm like, go fuck yourself. I love you. I've always loved you. Like, so for me, it's like, I'm almost like embarrassed about how loving I am and how caring I am. And I also feel very distrust for it. So it's like, I feel like the whole building up in a friendship, in a relationship, I'm holding it to my chest and I'm very scared to show it. But then once I do, I'm always trying to protect it in a lot of ways. But like, we have 15 years. If you hurt my feelings, I have so many experiences to show that you're not trying to fuck with me, hurt me, take advantage of me.
Yeah, do you remember that one time I was breaking up with my fiance and you didn't answer my texts? Because you were up in upstate New York. Yeah,
it was a combination of two things. I had really bad reception, and I've always had bad reception at my friend's farmhouse, but also I have a fish brain. So I read the text in my room, or in the room I was staying in, that doesn't have a lot of reception. But I was going downstairs. I literally was like, oh, I can't text her back. It wouldn't go through. I'm going to go downstairs and text. And so I go downstairs, and it was a 4th of July party. So there was like a bunch of people there, and they're like, oh, do you want breakfast? Da, 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 da. And I was like, yeah, sure. And it just went completely out of my brain. I left my phone inside, totally forgot what I was doing. And then I come inside a couple hours later, and you're like, wah! Like, it was
because
just like,
I just told you I had broken up with my fiance, and you'd read it and didn't say anything. And I'm like, hi.
You've been there. Cause that's the other thing, is like, you'll be like, I'm just sad today. And I'm like, I'm there for you. And then it's like the day you legit need me to be there for you, and I'm not there for you.
The only reason I wasn't upset with you is because I know you, and you're the type of person to be like, hey, I really can't talk now, but I will call you as soon as I can, or whatever. Like you don't just leave things. I knew whatever happened, it wasn't on purpose, basically.
Yeah.
But I was still just like, Fuck, Liz.
But it was a big deal for me because I also know you, which is just like, fuck everybody, I'll kill you. So it was kind of funny. I remember reading it totally. As soon as I saw it, you were just like, you were like this. You're like, hey, you would never hurt me. So I'm assuming something bad happened. And I just want to make sure you're okay. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I truly was, but it was like the perfect example of two people knowing each other well enough to be like, there's no malice or dismissiveness or I don't careness in this action. It was all a bunch of confusion. And what's really interesting about that example is my boyfriend has done stuff and I've assumed it was manipulative or possessive or shitty or whatever it is. I made some kind of negative assumption about it. And then let's say like a week later we talk about it and he goes, I don't know what to do with that. Like, I don't know, like, why would you ever make that assumption? And I was like, oh, that's a good point. You know what I mean? Like, it's not fair to him that like after 4 years, the assumption should be that he loves me and he cares about me and he's on my side. So it's not fair to him that I get my feelings hurt and I'm treating him like a dude I met outside that I've never talked to before. Like,
I think you're my partner. Because I often say that to him. I'm just, I say like, why haven't I built up enough goodwill that isn't the first thing you think? And he's just like, he doesn't get what I mean. I tried to do the Brene Brown, like marble in a bowl joke. Not joke, the explanation. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, marbles in a bowl. Come on. Like he had no.
Which if you don't know what we're talking about, Brene Brown it's like a 20-minute talk with Oprah where she talks about how you built up trust. And it's with little moments. So, Maria texting me saying, hey, I'm having a bad day. Can you call me? When I call her, I put a little marble in a jar. That's a little baby thing of trust. And we've done that over 15 years that when I do something wrong, like forget to call her back at like one of her saddest moments, you don't take that, like you don't take one marble out and it ruins the friendship. You have thousands and thousands of marbles that it's okay to make mistakes and not do something correctly because you have all this trust built up. So I believe in that. And I also, that analogy is how when I'm freaking out about a friendship or freaking out about a boy, I have to be like, we have so many marbles together. Like, why am I taking this out on this person? But it also helps me. The other thing is like that analogy has helped me where you built up a bunch of trust and marbles with people, but then something changes and they start taking them out. Like when you have a friendship breakup and they stop returning your phone calls, you find out they said something shitty behind your back. You lent them money and they don't pay you back. They're no longer there when you need them. They make excuses to not hang out with you. So all of a sudden, 5 years of friendship, and that same thing could happen with a relationship. You build up all this trust, but then something changes, and next thing you know, there's like hemorrhaging in this jar and all your marbles are gone. That's a mental gymnastics, like that analogy, and being able to show it with friendships has shown me that I have some kind of barrier when it comes to romantic relationships where I always assume they're trying to hurt me or I can't trust them or what they say isn't real.
Can I talk about me?
Yeah, of course.
I'm so sorry. It's like enough with that. No, because like recently, like Johnny wanted a few days to himself to get his thoughts together, which is fine. So like on a Saturday, we were supposed to hang out. Well, we were hanging out. And then he was like, actually, like, do you care if we don't go to this place? Like, I just thought I'm not feeling up for it. I was like, do you need to be alone? He's like, I think I do. And I was like, okay, I get it. That alone was hard for me because from the beginning of the relationship, him needing like time to himself, I didn't get, because I didn't need any time to myself. I needed all my time with him. And so it was just like, and I had to catch myself doing these things, like these like manipulative, like, well, fine, like getting angry and being visibly angry to him. So I don't know what I was hoping would happen, that he would go, oh, I don't want you to be angry. So I'll just fuck my boundary. I'll just come and make sure you're okay. And I didn't want that. And I didn't want him to hang out with me if he didn't want to hang out with me, yet I'm still doing these manipulative things of getting mad about it.
Yeah.
So already I'm like, yeah, that's fine. It's not personal. We've been together long enough. I know he's not going to just break up with me the next moment we're not together, even though I'm not sure. So, so then, a couple days go by and then, we talk. We're not like not talking at all. And then he's like, I think I want a few more days. That's fine. Take your time. It's like, we just come out of lockdown. Everything is, and like, I needed some time on my own in my own place. But then he takes a day longer than I would have, and then suddenly everything comes crashing back. All the work I thought I've done in the relationship comes back. Everything I thought I had matured in this relationship, I was no longer like that, but it was all back. And I call you crying, and I'm like, I need him to come with me. I don't know what he's thinking about, and like, I just need to know that he still loves me. And you're like, what? You know, did you like basically you're like, did you plead for his attention just to say, hey, I'm in my head a bit. Can I just basically hear that you love me? Which I did do, which didn't go well. but that's because he's not the type of person that if you're like, can you please tell me you love me? And he'll be like, I love you. He'll be like, well, I shouldn't have to tell you. I'll tell you when I want to say it. But he does say it. It just isn't when I demand it. So that didn't. So that was, and I was like, and you're like, I think this is 70% in your head and it's going to be fine. And you know what? It was fine. We're fine. But on 1 week, 6 days, it wasn't even a week, sent me into that much of a mental just tailspin.
I'm the same. I mean, I'm absolutely the same. I think for me, I don't know if my brain was already like this or comedy has rotted my brain, but like this immediate, I like you. Here's a laugh. I laughed. I liked you. Like, it feels like every 20 seconds, I still like you. Everything I've read is like, you shouldn't need that.
That's
and
why
I'm
it
just
was
like,
a joke at the beginning where we're like, tell us you love us. Because it makes our day.
Yeah, we can't hear your laughter, so we like emails and comments. This is what I find weird, though. So, like, and I don't know if I'm going to say this correctly, I've never needed attention about my appearance. I'm not saying I don't want to be pretty. I'm not saying that I don't like compliments, but that's not how I receive love. Like, I don't care if you find me attractive or not. I've always put it into being funny and being a good person. So like, if you say, oh, that's so thoughtful, and I love how you're thoughtful about that, I'm like, oh, I feel seen. Or if you're like, this is so funny, I'm like, oh, I feel seen. So for me, that type of attention is filling to me, that all that other type of attention doesn't matter. So with my boyfriend, it completely shifts though. Like, he's the only person that I want to tell me that he loves me in this exact way of like how I look, how I talk to him, what I said. Like, I need, for some reason, the rest of the world, it's just only these two things. And with him, it's like he needs to see all of me, and I need him to appreciate it. Not all the time. I'm not like just staring, like, although my boyfriend would argue that I do just stare at him. Waiting for There's been times where like we're both on our laptop and like I can see he's typing, so I'm just waiting for him to stop typing because it could be important. But he'll just look up and I'm like, he's like, too. You're always staring. I'm like, no, I'm being polite. I was a polite child, but I find myself
But you've made a cake and you're basically like, I made you this cake. I want you to try it, tell me you love it, right? And then other people walk by and be like, that cake smells amazing. You're like, fuck off.
It's not for you.
It's not for you.
Oh my God, that's the perfect analogy. I'm just like, I don't care if you like this cake. I didn't make it for you, babe. And he's like, well, I'm not really in the mood. And you're like,
everybody else wants this cake.
Yeah. Anybody would die for this cake. Yeah. And that's where I really kind of struggle, is like, to me, it doesn't even make sense. I don't care about what 99.9% of people think, but I care too much about what this one person thinks. And when they're not telling it to me at a sufficient amount of times throughout the day, I feel like they don't care about me anymore. But I don't need that. I don't need you to call me every day and tell me you love me. Why is that sufficient with any other friendship? But this friendship, I have decided, and it all goes back to, they say, parenting and stuff like that. Like, I think I grew up in such a chaotic and up and down childhood that at one moment my parents were nice to me and the next moment they're like throwing stuff and being crazy. And so in my probably still childlike brain, I'm like, they love you one second, they don't the other. It sucks to acknowledge that and know that and still feel paralyzed by it, and to still catch myself feeling alone in a relationship where the person is trying their best and is doing everything they think they should be doing, and I keep not changing the rules, but like basically saying like almost these very, very strong, sturdy rules that can't, like, I'm like, this is how I feel love. And they're like, how about this? And you're like, no, this way. And I don't feel good I don't want to tell somebody that. I don't tell you that. I mean, we have like not boundaries, but we have expression. Like, and there's healthy ways of connecting with people, but I don't feel like you have to treat me this exact way for me to feel loved by you. And I don't know why it's so much more strong, sturdy, whatever. It just has to be like this. And I think that's where my work is.
I don't know what's mine. What is mine? What do I need to work on? Help me.
I mean, for me, when I talk to you, there's no building. It really is kind of the marble analogy where nothing is kind of layered on top of each other. If you're not being told in the moment that you are loved, or you can't see it, like you don't always need to be told, but if you can't see it, feel it, experience it, it's gone. So they say with babies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can't, they think you're gone forever as soon as you leave the room.
Yeah, I forget what the word is, but like as soon as you leave the room, you're gone, you're dead. And that's why
I don't think I ever grew out of that.
But that's a little bit
like
how
if you disappeared
sometimes.
out of frame right now, I'd be like, I guess the podcast's over.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I gotta find another partner. This is rough. But that's a little bit like love not seen or felt isn't present. I think we both have abandonment issues, and I think we both have a lot of like love is based on doing something. Love is tit for tat, which I don't think is healthy, and I don't want to be that way. But what I also find weird is that like I don't feel like I give love out that way, but I feel like other people give love out that way. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Like, I don't feel like I give out love to receive love. I don't feel like I give out acceptance to receive acceptance, but I assume everybody else is doing that.
Yes.
And I don't know what that means. And then also like what I have read is that you can shift in different relationships. I definitely think I've become more secure in relationships because somebody else was the more chaotic, more insecure person. When somebody is anxious, like I think I spent most of my life being anxious, but I dated somebody else that was anxious and I became very avoidant. Like,
yeah.
Like truly his anxiousness made me extremely avoidant.
That's weird because we were just talking about this in this episode of exactly that, you know, just like someone else's anxiousness makes you chill, like makes you calm down. Yeah, it's like when you're driving and then your passenger, like you get cut off and your passenger's like, fuck you. And you're like, whoa, it's all right. Like nothing's happened. Yeah. Chill out.
But if I was alone, I'd be like, I'll kill you.
I'll kill your whole family.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
My brief weird story, you know how you have to do 6 hours to get your learning permit when you're 16, or at least in New Jersey? I had this hippy dippy guy that was my driving instructor. I remember like we picked up pizza. I'm sure we did a drug deal. Like he was like, he would climb trees. So he was always pointing out trees. I remember this guy so clearly. He would see a tree and he's like, oh, that'd be a great tree to climb. You see the branches. And I'm like, I'm 16. I'm like, what do you mean you climb trees? So anyway, I get cut off. Like I'm on a highway. I get like really cut off. He leans his entire body and he's screaming. He's like, fuck you. You see, she's a student driver. You're going to murder us all. Oh, fuck. And I was just like, I literally was like, I'm sure I made the mistake. Like, I was like, I think it's going to be fine. And I was quiet the rest of I had fun with him. He was like a nice guy. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, I am going 10-2. Like we don't freak out again.
He was teaching you in his own way.
Yeah. I was like, oh God.
Did your dad, when you first started driving, did he always sit in the passenger side and like press a brake that wasn't there? I
think my dad was actually like a really good teacher in that sense. His was always precautionary. And you had to always do the precautionary thing. So something me and all my siblings do is if you're worried, you put your hand on the honk already, like the beeper or honk?
The horn?
How am I not? Horn.
The honk.
This is the problem with me doing this early in the day. Let's say I'm merging and you see people are being crazy and you're a little worried, you would already have your hand on it to begin with.
That's so funny. My dad always taught me like, if a decision's coming up, make a decision. Like, don't be like, no, just do it. Whatever decision it is, do it.
Yeah.
But when we would drive, he would always like just sort of like press down on the brake that wasn't there. It's like, what are you fucking doing? I got it. But
my mom still holds the oh shit.
Yes.
Handle. Yeah. I mean, everything's fine. She's not a good driver. She will acknowledge that. We're all really good drivers. I drive pretty much for a living. Like I always said, I'm probably a better driver than I am a comedian. Cause if you're going by the 10,000 hour rules, I've done way more driving. But my mom, like I stop at a light and my mom is like, and I'm like, Mom, everybody's what are we scared about? What do you think is going to happen? It's very, okay. So thank you. I would love to know if you learned anything about attachment issues from this, if you have felt like you've changed your attachment issues. I want to hear about people that were like anxious. I want to know if there's anybody that was like anxious, avoidant, and now they feel like they're secure. If, the other thing, so the winning lottery ticket is dating somebody that's secure, by the way. Like, they always just like, the best thing you can do is find somebody that's secure. And I'm just out there like, how do you find them? Like,
yeah, you got to put that on your dating profiles if you are secure.
Looking for somebody who's secure. And they're like, I make money. No. I don't care about your money.
Not that kind of security.
You understand love. And if you just know there's no games, you're just giving it out, you're supporting, you know how to be supported. But yeah, like, what's it like to date somebody that's secure? I don't think I've ever done that. Or if you are the secure person, I'm actually very much fascinated about this. And there's the book that I read, I think is literally called Attached. Thank you guys.
Thanks for listening. Bye.